Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Let's start, Lasha.
Okay, ma'am. I'll actually make someone the host. Ma'am, I'm making you host so that you can allow anyone else who
Okay.
joins.
Yes, yes.
So, good morning, respective ma'am, my dear lovely batchmates. So today, I'm going to speak about the vegetable kingdom and the general rules of drug collection of the drug substances. So, as of now, so I'm going to talk about collection of drug substances. I will begin by outlining the topic, the vegetable kingdom, and then highlight few points and give little few examples, and then I'll finally briefly discuss the rules which are given. So, Sir Hahnemann has given us this beautiful book, Organon of Medicine, which is actually useful for collecting of drug substances. There are several rules which are given in this book so as to guide us in a proper way to collect the drug substances. So let us look at few of these rules. So a physician who actually makes the medicine has to be provided with a medicine of unimpaired strength. So we have to actually provide raw material so that the physician can prepare the medicine at the right and the highest therapeutic powers. So the medicine which has high powers is actually recommended. Um, that's because that is very effective in healing the person. So the second rule is the substances belonging to the animal and the vegetable kingdoms possess their medicinal qualities most perfectly in their raw state. As I said earlier, the raw material is best for preparing the medicines. And one more point to be remembered is it has to be indigenous species. Indigenous as in they have to be native to the place. They have to be originated from there, so that medicine will have highest therapeutic powers and medicinal values. So these are the two rules given by Sir Hahnemann. So now let's talk about vegetable kingdom. So vegetable kingdom is a vast kingdom, and it gives us a lot of fruitful products which we use in our day-to-day life. But then when it comes to collection of drug substances, when we focus on collection of drug substances from the vegetable kingdom, a botanist who is well experienced and qualified should collect the drug substances which are used in preparation of the medicine. So he has to have the knowledge of taxonomy and systemic botany too. Why is the question? So every if we give an answer, it follows by why as well. So why should he have the knowledge of taxonomy and systemic botany? That's because if he knows the taxonomy, he will know from which family does the plant, so and so plant, the respective plant belongs to. Is it useful for preparing the medicine, or is it poisonous? Is it toxic to the human trait? So such points can be noted down by him. He will actually be able to recognize if the plant is actually eligible. I mean, you know, if it is actually important to make the medicine, if it is actually suitable for making the medicine. So as we see over here, this is a taxonomical tree, which we studied in our lower classes. So as we see from life to species, the number of similar characters increase. That is, more number of organisms which are interrelated are present in species. So they have more similarities among them, like our family. let's take an example of our family. So I'm similar to my mom. So are you guys. So that way, there are more similar organisms when it comes to species rather than life. So number of similar characters decrease as we go from species to life. So this is one diagram which focuses on that. Now I'll focus on the general rules based on character of plants. So everyone has a different character. When it comes to us also, we are different individuals with different perspectives. We have different personality. We have different character. So we have our own thoughts and unique nature. In the same way, the plants are also unique in their own way. So based on the character, the general rules are given. So let's take a look at some general rules. So purity and genuinity of the original drug substance must be ensured. As I told earlier, the pure substance has highest therapeutic power and it has great medicinal virtue, which is useful in making very effective drug substances. So that is the first point. And the next one is it has to be free from worms, parasites, and insects and all. These will eat the plant and make it unfit for making the medicines. The next point is the decayed substances are obviously not used for making medicine. So the decayed substances give abnormal odor and its slimeness increases as it grows old. Like when we grow old, the bones actually, become weak. The calcium levels decrease. The same way, when the plant gets old, it loses its mineral values. And the wild ones are preferable to the cultivated ones. From the herbarium, if we're gonna take a plant, it has low medicinal values as compared to the wild ones which are grown in the forest in its native place. So these points are to be remembered when we are picking up a plant for making the drug substances. Let us take some beautiful examples. So how many of you have seen this flower earlier? Guys, how many of you have seen this flower earlier? Can anyone guess which flower is this? Okay, let me tell you. So this beautiful yellowish flower is taken, and its name is Arnica montana. This plant's name is Arnica montana. So this plant, the whole plant is actually used along with the roots, is used for making medicines. This beautiful plant, no one would have guessed this beautiful plant has so many medicinal values. So arnica is most commonly used for pain relief, osteoarthritis conditions, and sore throats and all. So after surgeries, usually patients face bleeding and swelling after surgery. That's because of graft rejections and metabolic reactions which are occurring in the body due to the changes after surgery. So these swellings and painful bleedings and all can be actually cured because of arnica. Its native place, its indigenous place is Europe and Siberia. This plant belongs to Europe and Siberia. So this is one example. Now let's talk about this one. When we used to play in childhood, we would actually see these white small flowers dancing in between our legs, and they used to be very itchy. Our legs used to get very itchy once we touch this flower. And this one is called Euphorbia corolata for you guys. So this one has n number of medicinal values. So one of which is its leaves are used for making tea for diabetes patients. The sugar levels of the diabetes patients can be reduced by taking the tea made out of leaves of this plant. And the crushed roots of this plant are used in treatment of the urinary diseases. So the juice of the whole plant can be used for actually rubbing on the skin and cure any sores and eruptions on the skin in children generally. So it is irritating in nature. It causes vomiting sometimes, but this plant has high medicinal values, though it is a little purgative in nature. So and also the decoction of this plant can also be used in treating cancers. Now, isn't this amazing? So This actually, the native of this plant is Texas, north to South Dakota, extends to South Dakota and east to the Atlantic Ocean as well. So this plant is very useful in treating these all diseases. Now, let's look at what this professor is saying about Euphorbia corolata.
Flowering spurge is a pretty common plant in the prairies. This is euphorbia, and euphorbia is known for its milky sap. So you always know you've got this plant, or when you suspect it is euphorbia, if you can break the stem, or at any point, the bigger the stem, the more white milky sap you'll get out of it. So Euphorbia corolata is the native one that's attractive. It kind of looks like baby's breath, has these small white flowers. And I can see the conspicuous seeds on here. This will self-seed itself. There are several euphorbias that are not native that are really garden thugs. You can get them in your garden and you can't get rid of them. Corolata is not like that. This species is much more tame and will grow without a problem. But euphorbia is found in drier prairies, more upland ones, and once it's established, it will self-seed a little, and pretty easy, common wildflower in the tallgrass prairie.
So now I would like to look at general rules based on time of collection. So let's make it a little fun. Let's take an example. So if you're told we have to wake up at 6 o'clock early in the morning and attend classes at 6:30, are we going to attend the classes? So will we be able to process the lectures and whatever we learn in the class? No, right? The same way, the plants won't be able to be ready for, plucking in the early mornings. So actually, we'll be lazy. We'll actually lose the information which is in our head rather than gaining the knowledge if we're going to wake up in the wrong time or different from the scheduled time. So this one over here, the plants are actually collected when the weather was previously been sunny and dry. So it has to be a moderate environment. If we collect the plants in the very morning dew time, it won't have highest therapeutic powers. That is because of guttation which takes place in the morning. So the water from the plants are lost through tiny droplets from the leaf blades. So the mineral values will also be lost due to guttation in the morning. If you're going to collect the plant in the very too heaty days when it's scorching heat, sunny, that time through transpiration the water is lost. So you won't have the highest therapeutic value if you're going to collect it in morning or else in a scorching heat day. So we have to collect it when it's moderate and in a moderate environment. And soil also plays a very important role. It has to have the suitable soil so as to have its highest medicinal values and is for the proper growth of the plant as well. Now let's look at how we collect the plant, how we cleanse it, how we clean it before making medicine out of it. So it has to be washed with very soft kind of water, basic water which is actually free from all the harsh chemicals, and we have to not use any profuse kind of water over here. That's because it washes away whatever the actual things we need for making the drug substances. So exotic drug substances should never be imported in powder form without proper identification of the genuineness. So if we're going to import some powder from outside the country, we have to not collect it in powder form. That's because we don't know what is the actual, value, or you can say actual substances used in making that powder. So without proper identification, we have to not take exotic drug substances over here. Now let's take another beautiful example. How many of you know this one? Saffron. This is also called as Kunkuma Puvu in Telugu. Its biological name is Crocus sativus. So this one, it's actually originated from Greek, but it spread to Morocco and India too. So the stigma of these plants are used in making medicines, as well as this stigmas are very colorful. So they are used in making dyes. So these dyes are usually made in India and China as well. Now this plant has beautiful benefits. This one actually cures Alzheimer's disease and gynec problems in females as well. And if we have any premenstrual syndromes, these can be cured by saffron, and pregnant women take saffron in the milk and they have it every day. That is because to control the vomiting sensations, they have the mood swings, so they keep the body very calm. So this has the highest, it is very costliest flower. So now let us look at how this is cultivated, actually, how this is dried. The process of collecting, drying, cleaning together has been put into one video. And that video is related to Crocus sativus or saffron. So let's have a look at it.
Even in the expensive world of spices, saffron stands out. And real saffron can cost you over $10,000 per kilogram. Sought after for thousands of years as a spice, a dye, and a medicine, you need over 150 flowers to make just 1 gram of saffron. And the stuff you have at home in the cupboard could well be fake. So just what makes this spice so expensive? Saffron is the red stigma of the Crocus sativus. Each crocus has 3 small stigmas that have to be picked carefully by hand. This minuscule harvest means that the amount you get from each flower is roughly 0.006 grams. No machine can do the delicate work required to harvest these thin threads. And it can take 40 hours of hard manual labor to produce just 1 kilogram of high-quality saffron. Growing the plants isn't exactly easy either.
They're actually called corms, but they're like a bulb, basically, like a flower bulb. So the more flowers per bulb you can get, and the bigger the flowers, really, and that all depends on how you look after it, how you grow it, the climate. So, for example, if it rains just before harvest, we get bigger flowers. If it's very dry just before harvest, the flowers are smaller. So you look after the crop during the year by hand, and you pick the flowers by hand, and you process the flowers by hand.
Once the crop starts flowering, harvesters have to work fast to make sure they can pick it all in time. Almost all of the saffron planted can flower within 1 week of the year. And to maintain the quality, the flowers are best picked first thing in the morning. Quality is key when growing such a precise crop, and the taste of the saffron depends on the rainfall, temperature, and soil. Kashmir is famed for producing some of the highest quality saffron in the world.
तो ये जो पूरे कश्मीर वादी में जो है ये रेड सॉइल जो है ज़्यादातर यही पाई जाती है और ये जो है ये सैफरान की रेड सॉइल जो है ये एक कुदरती तौर से एक फर्टिलाइज्ड लैंड होती है। जैसे कि अभी हम जा रहे हैं किसी और इलाके में, वहाँ की जो लैंड उस पर काफ़ी ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, राइट। उसमें जो है कंपोजिशन या कुछ ऐसे डालने पड़ते हैं, लेकिन ये जो रेड सॉइल है इसमें ये एक अंदरूनी मजबूत होती है क्योंकि इसको अल्लाह ताला ने कुदरत की तरफ से, और ये जो है ये काफ़ी फेमस है इन ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड।
And that small strand of saffron that you harvest as a result of all of this work, well, to get the highest grades, you might need to throw half of it away. The most expensive, highest grade saffron is generally made up of just the very tips of the stigma. In Iran, where over 90% of the world's saffron is produced, there are 4 grades. The lowest grade is the bunch. That's the entire strand that's pulled from the flower, from the dark red tips to the yellow base. In higher grades, the yellow strand is removed, leaving only a long strand of pure red. That means a kilo of saffron could be made up of 450,000 strands.
So now, let's look at a few examples where the whole plant along with the roots is used for making drug substances. So the washing of the whole plant can be done by rubbing, shaking, and brushing as well. So sunny seasons, these plants are collected more. So let us take one beautiful example, which is chamomilla. Chamomilla is the main remedy for teething children, especially if a child has one red cheek. So if they have red cheeks, chamomilla can be used for curing it. Characterized by oversensitivity, as in people who have oversensitivity, like if you're going to give them a proper advice also, if you're going to request them to do something also, they're going to overthink it, and they're going to get offended by it and feel bad about it. So such emotional outburst happens in oversensitive people. Such people can be treated with chamomilla. Pains are intolerable and appear to be out of all proportions. So pain is this pain, like actually very intolerant pains can be treated with the chamomilla plant. So it looks like this actually. It has white petals and yellowish ovary in between. So let us take example of roots. Now, which plants roots are used for making medicines? You might be wondering. So there are three types: annuals, biennials, and perennials as well. You have studied about these three kinds in your lower classes. So now I'll straight go to the examples. It can be cleaned with very little water. So when it comes to examples over here, Bryonia alba is one of the example. So when it comes to Bryonia alba's roots, these roots can be actually used for people having intestinal problems and stomach issues. So these problems in constipated patients too, these problems can be treated with the roots of Bryonia alba. So now let us look at another aspect over here. So the stems can also be used, the leaves can also be used, the young shoots can also be used, herbs, twigs, flowers, fruits, bulbs. So these are every part of the plant is well utilized in making medicines. So this is the beauty of homeopathy. So every part can be used for making different kinds of medicines. Now let us look at woods. I would like to take an example of the woods. This is Santalum album for you guys. So this is also called as Indian sandalwood. This is actually used, it is actually grows in small tropical regions. Now this is actually native to southern India and Southeast Asia. So this one, the whole plant doesn't give us the fragrance and medicinal value. The center heartwood actually smells, and only the heartwood has the fragrance. So Mysore sandal soap, these are the soaps we use. This is made out of the sandalwood, and we find most of the plants in the southern region of India. So this is one example. It actually cures all the skin diseases and skin related issues. Now, barks are also taken. Now, have you ever imagined this way that narcotic plants also have their own benefits? Like, no one would have actually guessed that the narcotic plants can also be used for making medicines. Yes, this is cannabis sativa. This plant over here, this is cannabis sativa. So this drug, the drugs made of cannabis sativa can actually be used for controlling vomiting sensations, nausea, anorexia as well. So in chemotherapy conditions also, cannabis sativa is used. It is used like mild anesthesia kind of thing. So in AIDS patients, as we know, the appetite of the AIDS patients is very low. So increasing their appetite, we can use the cannabis sativa, drugs made of cannabis sativa. It is used to treat epilepsy, sclerosis, and all the respiratory related problems as well. So the diverse world of homeopathy shows huge diversification in its medicine and the way of approach towards the cause, which is causing the disease. So we actually cure the cause. It is always very surprising how the plants we see and the daily essentials we use can have so much medicinal value and can cure and heal the humanity and many other such species. Isn't it surprising that we come across n number of plants and n number of items in our kitchens as well, which are actually having this much medicinal value, and they are being very useful for us and any other species as well. So out of the animals and the plants around us, we are able to make so many beautiful products which we can utilize. So I hope from now on, at least we plant a plant every year, at least one plant every year, so that we can increase the number, we can increase the vegetation and forestry in our country, and enjoy the very beautiful fruitful gifts which are given to us by nature, and stay happy and healthy. And thank you guys. So this is end of it. So the session is open for discussion. If anyone have any doubts, I'll be glad to answer. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Lasya. Lasya.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's good, very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very nicely presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well done.
Now, Shrishti will be taking over. So it's her turn. Shrishti, please go ahead.
Can I start, ma'am?
Yes, start please.
Good morning, madam, and all my friends. So, as for now, till now, we have heard, we all heard last year, and we have seen the general rules and what are the good types and what are the methods for collecting in the vegetable kingdom. So now, in regards with that, she has mentioned everything. I am just trying to continue and elaborate the topic by little bit. So, and taking in consideration with the vegetable kingdom, in the vegetable kingdom, when we come to the discussion of drugs and the preparation of drug substances, we also consider that in homeopathy, basically among all the resources and sources for the drug substances, vegetable kingdom is one of the main thing. It has lots and lots of varieties and variations from which we can obtain our substances. And in homeopathy also, different plants and different plant parts are used for the preparation of mother tinctures and mother solutions. And for the preparation of the tinctures and solutions, the plant parts or whatever required should be collected at different times, and some different perspectives must be considered before they are collected. Apart from the general rules which we have just heard now, there are few particular exceptions which have to be compulsorily followed, or else it would be like you can't be able to justify or differentiate, or even maybe the administration of the drugs may not be proper. And also because when we have just learned that the substances always possess their medical quality most perfectly in their crude form. So crude is basically nothing but a raw form, the very, very raw and the bold type. So which, as the upcoming homeopaths, we should always try to put the crude nature of any drug, the raw nature of any drug very much intact. So coming to the few exceptions which are to be followed very much, the first one would be the whole plant. It should be, when considering the whole plant, it should always be collected on a sunny day, because any content of moisture or anything in the nature may just change the value or just form a layer over the plant or something which we cannot be affordable. And in the spring season, which is considered as the flowering season, usually from the starting of the March to the starting of the May is spring in India. In other countries, it is usually longer, but for us, it is a shorter spring season. And it should be collected partly in flower and partly in bud form, because that is the perfect time to collect it, because any type of changes or any physical changes of the plant can be considered then. And it should always be carefully cleansed by shaking or brushing. Washing is completely should be avoided, because washing of the plant may eliminate pollen or the tiny hair particles or the buds sometimes. So we should be very much careful. And coming to the examples, here we have Canadula officialis, California poppy, and belladonna. And when it comes to Canadula officialis, it grows usually all the year, but particularly in summer, it is good for collection. And it is very much effective for muscle spasms, menstrual cramps, sore throats, and also ulcers. stomach ulcers are basically mouth ulcers. It is not recommended, but stomach ulcers, it is very much recommended. And then coming to the roots, as already mentioned, roots are of three types: annuals, biennials, and perennials. The annuals are the plants which only flower once in a year. Sorry. And they should be collected in early autumn, because that is the time when the shedding of it starts, and maybe the root may also get more developed in that time. And examples for the annuals are Cuscuta virosa and Pioneer officialis. Those are very much in medical, they have very much medical assistance at that time. And when coming to biennials, they should be always collected in the spring of the second year. The exception is very much necessary in biennials, because in the spring of the second year, it happens the maturity or the incubation period, which we can consider. It's not called incubation, but could be considered. At the second year would be intact and complete, and the root also will be perfectly developed. So the outer woody scrapings could be taken off, and the inner soft fleshy part of the root could be used. Coming to the perennials, it should be collected in the second and third year, and not above that. Fourth and fifth year, it is not necessary or intact, because it may get fully developed and we may not use it. Coming to the examples of the biennials is Calotropis gigantea. Calotropis gigantea is very much effective for toothache, cramps, and stomach ulcers, and also stomach-related issues like indigestion and constipation, etc. And while collecting the roots, the most important thing which should be considered is it should be cut just under the stem, not very deep or not very much above. The root should be very much considered and cut just under the stem. And the roots also should not be stored for a long time. They should be possibly processed or made into whatever the further process should be start very much earlier, because they may get deteriorated. So deterioration should be highly avoided, and roots can also be cleansed with water. That is not a big issue, because we are using the inside part of the root. Coming to the example, we have Asparagus racemosus, usually used for dyspepsia, constipation, stomach ulcers, spasms, etc. And Cuscuta virosa, Pioneer, these are all I've already mentioned. And Pioneer is also very much considered normal drug in the Western countries. For anxiety also, they usually use it. Coming to the stems. So here is something very much considerable about stems, is that the tender stem which is just been formed or just been made up should only be used, and in some cases the old stems can also be used, but the young shoots or the young stems developing from the buds are very much recommended, and they should be collected after the fully development. Examples are Sabina and Jaborandi. Jaborandi is a very much essential thing and is usually used in all types of oils, because it is very much effectively proven for hair fall and other hair related complaints. Coming to the leaves, we have folia and biennials. Usually in biennials, it is like 2 cycles. They flower twice in their life cycle. And also the development of leaves is also twice, because at the spring they start to flower and the autumn they shed off their leaves. So again, for the biennials, this in the second year, it should always be collected, and also before the flowering stem gets to bear shoot. As soon as the flowering stem bears the shoot, it should be collected. Examples are Bryophyllum pinnata and eucalyptus. As we seen here in the picture, the vegetative reproduction of the bryophyllum, the newly formed buds are very much used. The bryophyllum is the top buds are used for diabetes, diuresis, and dissolving of kidney stones. And the most important use of the bryophyllum in homeopathy is for the tautopathic use. It is used for the rehabilitation of alcohol, drugs, and also for the patient who have been administered with lot of antibiotics. They can be given bryophyllum for the toxic liver damage. It is used for the tautopatic medicine. And coming to eucalyptus, eucalyptus is usually used for ulcers, wounds, and burns. Eucalyptus oil, we usually use eucalyptus oil in our homes. Young shoots. Considering with the young shoots, they should be collected in the spring. They should be collected in the spring while the whole plant is fully vigor. Vigor by the meaning in a very strongly, in a physical strong condition, and also in a very healthy manner. It doesn't mean if the plant is physically strong like a big plant and not healthy, we cannot consider it. It should be both physically strong and also healthy. And examples are Pinus salviacis and Asparagus officialis. Asparagus officialis and Pinus salvis can also be used. Both of them usually have the similar medical function, uses, but asparagus is mostly used for rheumatism, hormone balance, and anemia due to folic acid deficiency in women, and hormone imbalance also in women, mostly in women. And coming to the herbs, herb should be collected when they are fully developed, because herb is naturally a very small and very little, and it should only be collected when it is fully developed and should be collected just above the roots. And for the examples, it is chamomile. Now, as we have just heard about the chamomile, it is usually used for anxiety and relaxation. This chamomile for anxiety and relaxation, the pills made from this is mostly used in the Western countries. US is the country which uses most of it for the, and also for the drug rehabilitation, also chamomile is used. Coming to the twigs, twigs is something very much different from the stems and also from the climbers or the new twigs. They are totally different. They are the various tender part on which the flower and leaves start to bear, and should be only collected from the current year. We can't store the twigs, or we can't use the same twigs twice. Anything that should be totally avoided, because drugs made from that are not at all advisable for administration. And examples are Tevaita peruvenia and Azadirachta indica, which is basically neem. We all are very much familiar with neem. It is usually used for treating acne, detoxification, and mostly mosquito repellent. And the antifungal properties of twigs usually have antifungal properties in a large number. Considering flowers, which is the next thing, flowers should always be collected in dry weather, because any moist in the environment or the atmosphere usually sticks up the pollen or changes the values, can also be not, and the petals may also get changed, or the color or the morphological ways can also be changed. So it should always be collected in the dry weather, and should be collected when partly in bud and partly in blossom, because we may need both of the ratios, like little part of the bud and then little part of the flower. Examples are Cannabis sativa, Orionis saiponessa, and hibiscus. Hibiscus is very much used in the Chinese countries. The hibiscus is usually used as tea. They boil up the hibiscus with the pollen and the leaves and drink it as tea, because it is very much proven for lowering of systolic and diastolic blood pressure. And also hibiscus tea is very good for anxiety, depression, and also sleeplessness, which is basically insomnia. People suffering from insomnia, hibiscus is a very good remedy for them. Considering fruits, we usually, all of us, considering fruits, all the succulents, dried, and all the type of fruits have few medicinal properties, but all of them are not always used. And when it comes to the succulent type of fruits, if whatever part of the succulent fruit we are using, consider it to be fruits, seeds, berries, or anything, they should be collected and at the time be used when they are fully ripe and very much fresh. You cannot be using the fresh fruit by storing it. The succulents should be always used fresh, because by storing it they might develop fungus or any other microorganisms or bacteria which we are not able to be preparing in the mother tinctures. Fresh fruits, we have Viscum album, which the picture I have here is that. It is usually used for depression, autoimmune conditions, and when it comes to Aesculus glabra, it's a dry fruit. It is usually used for vertigo. Vertigo is a medical condition of when you feel the internal and external spinning of your head or the body parts. It is usually when we just wake up in a sudden way, or just usually travel sickness also you feel dizziness. Is an excessive way of dizziness is known as vertigo. Aesculus glabra is very good for vertigo, dry neck, and meningitis. Coming to the bulbs, bulbs should always be collected. We have learned in yesterday's class also about the bulbs. Considering with that and in relation with that, you can always know that bulbs should always be collected when they are decayed and when they are mature, fully mature, and when they become to decay. Not like the fully decayed bulb is not advisable, but it should always be collected when it begins to decay, which gives it more medicinal properties. It is usually used for gastrointestinal diseases, asthma, and bronchitis. And coming to the woods, we have seen the example of sandalwood. Here we have 2 cycles of woods, as we have learned in our lower classes. And when it comes to collection of woods, they should be always be considered in the early spring or of the late autumn, because that is the time with very less morphological and also internal changes in the plant or the shrub, whatever we are collecting. So the juices should not be exhausted, because if the cycle completes, all the juices are used up and the plant, and we can't, there is no use of collecting it. So it should always be taken in consideration that it should be collected in the early spring and late autumn, and should be collected from mature but young trees or shrubs. Considering in examples are Ostrea virginica, which is a hardwood, and it is very much useful in relieving toothache. It is the most important ingredient in all the toothpaste which we use. And Santalum album is collected from the dry wood, which is also called as white sandalwood, and it is used for the treatment of gonorrhea, headaches, and cardiovascular diseases. Coming to the barks, they always should be collected in the early spring, because when as we have just there are also 2 types of barks, resinous and non-resinous. Resinous are the one which have the resin content under their bark, are called as resinous, and they should be collected in the early spring, because that is the time where we have the newly formed resin in the bark, which is very much effective for the medicine. Example are Abies canadensis, which is usually used for uterine displacement, indigestion and liver disorders. And considering non-resinous, they do not have any resin content under their bark and should be collected in the late autumn from young but vigorous, as I've already mentioned, vigorous, the various strong physically and also healthy trees only. Example are this is Abies canadensis and this is Astonia scoliensis, as we can see in the pictures. And the Astonia scoliensis is usually used for varicose veins, leg cramps, and only the very much outer part of Astonia scoliensis is used. And coming to narcotics, usually narcotics are not only heavy administration of narcotics is always very in a different matter of consideration, but narcotics are very much used in homeopathy, and they should always be collected while in bloom. That is, when they are coming to bloom, it is like the mid spring season which we can be considered. And and we have two important exceptions in collections. Those are, the first one is erotic drugs. Erotic drugs are nothing but which relate and which have the tendency in increasing the sexual desires and the sexual activeness in the human beings, are called as erotic drugs. And while making the erotic drugs, it is usually used for impotency in men and also in women. But while considering the preparation of erotic drugs, it is very important that they are never transported in powder form and without a proper identification. And it is also, when we are collecting the erotic drug material from their natural state, it should always be considered that uh, before making the mother tincture, we take proper precautions and proper consideration of their genuineness before the making of mother tinctures. And when it comes for the exporting of the vegetable products to the foreign countries or from the foreign countries to the another countries, it should always be tied in loose bundles and hung up in a place. They should never be kept in a closed box because it may develop moisture and also develop fungus, which is not good. And they should usually be avoided from the direct sunlight or rain. It should be given, should always be packed when they are perfectly dried. No moisture content can be encouraged. So this is what I was trying to explain about the particular rules for few of the plants or the plant parts which we have seen. Thank you.
Yes, Srishti.
Yes, ma'am.
It's very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, who is Ajay?
Yes,
Next
ma'am.
is Ajay, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ajay, start.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. As we know, as the kingdom has already explained, I'm going to cover the animal kingdom, general rules and particular rules of the animal kingdom. So there are two types of rules: general rules and particular rules. General rules are common for the all types of animals, and particular rules generally they are applied for the respective animals. So there are some rules for the general rules. First, they must be thoroughly identified and collected by the geologists. That means there are, let us take an examples. There are many types of insects. So, excuse me, ma'am, 1 minute. So the rules, they must be thoroughly identified and collected by the geologists. There are many types of insects which are similar to each other. Geologists we find, and they have to collect particularly and set up. Of animal must be perfect. They should be generally healthy and hygienic, coming from the good stock, and the animals must not be so spoiled by dirt. Their substances must be immune, decompose. Additions and excretions should be collected by animals. Will not be taken sources if the fishes specimen stored in the lab
Ajay,
Ajay.
the particulars.
Ajay, I think you have a lot of network issue. Just off your net
One
once
second.
and on it back.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Now it's better.
వీడియో ఆన్ చేస్తే ఇట్లా పోతుంది
Yeah.
కొద్దిగా.
Video off పెట్టుకో.
Off the video.
Video off
Video
పెట్టుకో.
off చేసి.
Yeah, okay.
I think ma'am the network issue ankunta. She's I can't see her in the class. Yeah. Ma'am, can he continue? Yes, Ajay.
Yes.
Take over.
Yeah. This one? Nice.
Particular rules. So there are some particular rules for the respective animals.
Ajay, general
Ah.
rules. అది వినిపించలేదు.
Hello.
General
Hello?
rules చెప్పు అజయ్, అది వినిపించలేదు.
Okay, general rules. Huh?
Yes, from the starting. Say it from the starting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's not clear.
So, okay, ma'am. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Animal kingdom. It is the major source of homeopathic drugs. Generally, the animal kingdoms are prepared. Generally, the drugs from the animals are prepared from the whole living animals, from whole dried animals, different parts and secretions of animals, from venoms and poisons, from lab, that is milk and milk products. So there are some rules for the collection of drugs, and there are generally two types of rules: general rules and particular rules. First, the animals must be thoroughly identified and collected by the zoologists. The selection of animals must be perfect, because the perfect animals gives the perfect drugs, and animals should have healthy and hygienic coming from the good stock. Here, the good stock means good breed. The animal of not proper breed are not suitable for the preparation of the drugs. So, when animals must not be spoiled by dirt, their substances must be genuine, decomposed and worm-eaten substances must not be used. Secretions and excretions should be
Hello,
collected
Lakshya,
from the...
Ajay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am? Is there a problem, ma'am?
Yes, it's not audible at all.
Ma'am, I guess you have network issue.
Is it
ma'am.
audible for everyone?
Yes,
ma'am, it
it's
is
audible,
perfectly
ma'am.
audible, ma'am.
Ma'am, please rejoin.
Yes,
ma'am.
Lakshya?
Ma'am, please rejoin, ma'am.
మ్యామ్ మీ వాయిస్ బ్రేక్ అవుతుంది మ్యామ్.
Ma'am, rejoin అవ్వండి ma'am ఒక్కసారి. Hello. Hello.
Srishti?
బ్రేక్ ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ జాయిన్ అవ్వండి.
Ma'am, rejoin అవ్వండి ma'am ఒక్కసారి. Hello.
Hello?
Ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Lakshya.
Ma'am, మీకు నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూ ఉంది మ్యామ్ ఒక్కసారి రిజాయిన్ అవ్వండి.
Okay. John.
ఓకే మ్యామ్. అజయ్ ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగు.
Who is the host?
లాస్యా మ్యామ్. లాస్యా ఇస్ ద హోస్ట్.
మ్యామ్ నేను హోస్ట్ మ్యామ్. ఒకసారి రిజాయిన్ అవ్వండి మ్యామ్. ఇట్ విల్ బీ క్లియర్.
Hello.
Ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, continue, Ajay.
Okay, ma'am. So as we seen in the vegetable kingdoms, when the animals and also in when animal substances are not available nearby, they may be taken from reliable sources. That means relatable sources, but never in the form of powder. Okay, if the specimens are not stored, if the specimens are to be stored before use, they should be protected from light, heat, moisture, and other contaminations, because the light and heat may cause the change in the nature of the specimens, and of the moisture may cause the development of microorganisms. So the substances should be kept away from them. So when we come about particular rules, there are some particular rules for the respective animals. First, gathered by fishing. The aqueous animals gathered by the fishing. The best examples are starfish, riverfish, cuttlefish, purple fish, and alive jellyfish, crayfish, and codfishes. So when we come about sepia, sepia is the drug from the sepia is prepared from the dark brown liquid found in the ink sac of sepia. This ink sac is a defensive mechanism for the sepia. So sepia, the drug prepared from the sepia, is a good remedy for the menopause, pulsating, headache, and chronic hepatic troubles. And also it can be used for the people who are having feelings like alone, irritable, tired, and aggravative, sarcastic, and mental dullness. So when we come about murex, murex is a marine mollusk from the family Muricidae. And the drug prepared from this is used to treat the range of diseases conditions like cancer. Jellyfish, mainly the venoms of jellyfishes are used for the preparation of drugs. So the drugs prepared from the jellyfishes are used to treat the swelling of mouth, ears, nose, and lips. It is a great remedy for curing numbness, and also it cures the burning sensations in many parts of the body. And second, caught by the different processes. Some of the animals caught by their different processes. So examples are toads, bufferona, spiders, and lizards. There are some species in the spiders: Arena avascularis, Arena diadema, next Tarantula cubensis, Tarantula hispanica, and Latrodus. So Arania diadema, I am taking the one example, Arania diadema. The Arania diadema are generally found in the northern hemisphere, that is in USA and as well as Europe. The Arania diadema are useful for the relieving pains occur during rainy season, mainly in rainy season, and which are mainly at the heels region, the pain at the heels region. And also it is a best remedy for the malaria, and also for fever, cold, bleeding due to the cough. And toads, when we come for toads, bufferana, actually there is a method for the extraction of poison from the toads. They tied the toad, and the toad is cut at the posto-orbital region where the parotid glands are present, because the parotid glands secretes the poison which we are using for the preparation of drugs. So some of the drugs from the bufferana are used for the curing nervous disorders that occurs during sleep, convulsion attacks, and also helps to recover the brain from numbness, and it reduces the blisters in palms and soles. And Lastra agilis, we have seen many times this Lastra agilis, and it is used for the skin disorders and eruptions on tongue and eruptions in the under vesicles. So next, wild animals collected by hunting. Examples are sperm whale, that is also known as Ambragracia, and musk deer, this is also known as marshes, and beaver. So Ambragracia secretes a hard waxy substance called ambergris. This ambergris is amber in color, so it is named ambergris. It is produced in the digestive system of the sperm whale, and also it can be seen floating on the surface of the sea. It is the best remedy for the curing of the nervousness. And next, musk deer. Musk deer is a great remedy for the cold, gastric problems. It reduces the feeling of anxiety. Here, the musk deer produces the deer musk, which obtained from the caudal glands of the male musk deers. The drug is prepared only from the male musk deer, which produces the deer musk from the caudal glands. And next, beaver. These beavers secretes a castrium, and this castrium is a substance collected from the glands of Canadian, European, Siberian beavers. So these drugs prepared from the beavers are useful in treating the nervous affections and restlessness, useful in the curing the swelling of tongue. And also it is a good remedy for female disorders such as painful menses, and from wild or cultivated scientific way. So some of the animals are cultivated for the production of the medicines. So there are examples: honeybee, Cantharis, Coccus cacti, cockroach and bugs, ants and moths. So Cantharis are generally found in the Western Asia and Southern Europe. These Cantharis are used for the acute inflammations of mucosae, urinary organs, and reproductive organs and gastrointestinal tracts. These Cantharis produces a substance known as cantharidins, which are used for the preparation of drug. And these are strongly indicated in liver problems. And next, Coccus cacti. Coccus cacti is found on the nopal cactus. The name of the cactus is nopal cactus. In earlier, these Coccus cacti are used for the dyes, preparation of dyes. So the best remedy of Coccus cacti is for whooping cough with spasm, and used for the curing respiratory elements, chronic inflammations. And next, Blatta americana and Blatta orientalis. This Blatta americana, also known as American cockroach, and it is a great remedy for urethritis. Urethritis is nothing but pain in the urethra on urinating, and dropsy and edema. Next, Blatta orientalis, an Indian cockroach. It is a best remedy for asthma, bronchitis, and cough. And snake venoms collected from the wild snakes or collected one from the snake frame. Here, the drugs are mainly prepared from the venoms of the snake. The best examples are coral snake, rattlesnake, lechesis, and naza. Coral snake, also known as elaps, it is a great remedy for the stomach disorders, gives relief from the ingestion along with nausea and vomiting. So next, rattlesnake. Rattlesnake is also known as Crotalus. It is a great remedy for the constipation and also for the depression, and it is a good antidote for the snake poisons. And lachesis. Lachesis is a good remedy for the disorders related to the skin and menstrual cycles and circulatory systems, and also it helps in the treatment of eye disorders. And Naza, we know that Naza is an Indian cobra, and the best remedy it gives treatment for the heart complaints, and also it cures the diseases related to head, ear, and respiratory systems. And from domestic animals, that is mammals, they produce lacs, that is milk and milk products. Lac caninum, it is from dog's milk. It is a remedy for sore throat, diphtheria, and rheumatism. Lac defloratum, that is from buffalo's milk, cures the disorders caused due to improper nutrition, and best remedy for the curing motion sickness. Some people used to have motion sickness, that is ట్రావెలింగ్ అంటే కొంతమందికి ఇట్లా వామిటింగ్స్ కానీ ఇట్లా ఫీల్ అవుతున్న వాళ్ళకి ఇది బెస్ట్ రెమెడీగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. Next, lacfelinum. It treats the related to stomach problems, and also it is a good remedy for severe headache and sharp pain in the eyes. Next, lac vaccinum. It is prepared from the cow's milk. It is a great remedy for the general nervousness, mental confusions, and rheumatic, and also for the headache. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, good, Ajay. And you haven't
Yes, ma'am.
mentioned from which animal the lac felinum is prepared.
Lacfelinum is from cat's milk, ma'am.
Okay, yes, good. Okay, well done, Ajay. So, in the next class, we'll continue with the other three, okay? You're only having 1 hour, na, today, pharmacy? Hello?
No, ma'am, 2 hours, 2 hours pharmacy.
2 hours, huh? Sir has told me it's only 1 hour.
లేదు, ma'am, 2 hours.
So, yeah, then go ahead. Who is next?
Ma'am, I am Devi Sukruta.
Yes, Devi Sukruta, start.
Ma'am, I can't on the video, ma'am, because it stuck in the middle. It's okay, ma'am?
Okay, no. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, thank you.
You can share the PPT, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. పిల్లలు సెమినార్ చెప్తున్నారు.
Ma'am, can you see the screen, ma'am?
Yes, Sukrita, it's visible.
Yes. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Devi Sukruta, and I am going to say about collection of snake venoms and collection of poison of toad, that is Bufurana. Now, we will know about the different types of snakes used in the homeopathy, that is coral snake, elaps, rattlesnake, cortellus, sukuku snake, laches, goshura or cobra naja, copperhead snake, centuries, sea snake, hydrophis, German vapera, vapera birus, Moccasin snake, toxiphophins, yellow vapera, bothros, Basilian snake, cortellus cascavilla. Now, next we will know about the definition of the venom. Venom is a white color or yellow color liquid which is
Sukrita.
produced by the parotid gland.
Sukrita.
Yes, ma'am.
A little slow.
Yes, ma'am.
It's too
Okay,
fast.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. From first, I should say, ma'am. Ma'am, should I say from first or shall I continue?
Yeah, from this slide only continue. No need to go again.
Okay. Now we will know about the definition of the venom. Venom is a white color or yellow color liquid which is produced from the parotid salivary glands, which are situated behind the snake's eyes. Now, in this picture, you can see the venom secreted by the snake. Now, this poison is injected or expelled out by aggressive biting of the snake. The venom contains zootoxins and mixture of low molecular mass such as histamine, alkaloids, peptides, and proteins. This mixture makes the immune system weak and causes the death of the person. Now, next we will know about the different types of the venoms. There are 3 types of venoms, that is cytotoxic, target specific cellular site, neurotoxic, which targets the neurovascular system of the body. And next is hemotoxic, which will affect the cardiovascular system. Now, we will know about the extraction of the venom from the snake. First, we need to take a vial or cover it with a rubber or plastic film, then take the snake in the hand and push it flanks through the plastic. And by pressing this, the venom expels out. This venom is collected in the test tube. As shown in the figure, you can see how the venom is collected from the snake. And next, we will know about the examples, that is Naja. The venom is obtained by a special device by compressing the glands of the serpent when it is either pinoid in a frame or under the influence of chloroform. This is done by, you can even see in the figure about the Naja, and Vapira or Cortellus horridus, collected by compressing the gland or under the influence of chlorophyll. This is done same as in Naja. And next, laches, it is obtained from the living snake by stunning it with a blow and collecting the poison on sugar of milk by pressing the fangs upwards against the poison snake. Then next, these venoms can be obtained by serological laboratory, that is, they are freezed and preserved. We can get the venoms from this laboratory, which are freezed and preserved. You can see in the figure. And next, the medicine used for the snake bite. snake bite. Antivenom, or this is also known as antivenom immunoglobulins, are the only specific treatment for envenoming the snake bites. This antivenoms are used for the reverse most of the snake bites. You can see different types of antivenoms used for snake bite in the pictures. And next, this is toad or bufforunner. Toad is a tailless amphibian with a short snout body and short legs, typically having dry, watery skin that can exude poison. The toad contains the poison on its skin. Then how the toad venom is obtained? It is largely comprised of cardioactive substance. Each toad has venom glands that excrete toxins containing 5-MeO-DMT, a cyclic chemical. And how the toad poison is collected. That is, the live toad is flattened to a slab of cork by 4 strong pins stuck through the webs of the feet. Then the poles of an induction apparatus in action are slowly drawn over the back of the animal, whereupon the poison exudes from the dorsal glands of the toad, which is removed with a small hod made of knife. The liquid is extracted by milking the toad toxic venom glands and then dehydrated it into a crumbly dry paste. You can see this bottle in which the toad venom is there. Thank you.
Yes, Suprata?
Ma'am, that's
Yeah,
it,
it's
ma'am.
good, but yes, it's good. But you're going too fast. You have to make some pauses in between.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am, because I'm feeling some scared, ma'am. That's it.
Yeah, you can feel
Okay,
it. But it's impressive. But it should be a little bit slow so that everyone can understand. Okay.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. Next.
Shania, ma'am.
Hmm.
Shania?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, Chennai, start.
Ma'am, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes, Chennai.
madam, PPT రాలేదు మేడం.
Remind the problem.
అజయ్ పంపిస్తా. He can. హలో.
Yes, Chennai.
Shania, ఏమైంది?
అది షేర్ కాకుండా ఉంది. అజయ్ పంపిస్తా. ఈ కెన్ అంటే
అజయ్ ప్రెజెంట్ చేస్తావా?
లాస్ట్
నాకు పంపి, నేను ప్రెజెంట్ చేస్తాను.
బ్రోని పంపించారు వాట్సాప్ కాదు కొద్దిగా.
అజయ్ నాకు పంపి అజయ్.
లాస్ట్ నాకైనా పంపి బెటర్.
క్లాసిక్ పంపివా, నాకు దొరకట్లేదు నీది పీపీటీ, చాలా ఉన్నాయి.
పంపించారా?
లాస్ట్ ఒక్క నిమిషం పంపిస్తున్నా.
ఓకే.
చెన్నయ్య పంపించాడు. షల్ ఐ షేర్ ఇట్? ఐ మీన్స్ షేర్ చేయనా?
ఓకే.
Give me 1 second, I'll share it. Okay. I'll share. Screen visible on the?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Yeah, good morning, Janan.
Good morning.
Good morning, to one and all.
Good
Today my
morning.
topic. Good morning. My topic is mental kingdom, Moses and Sarkot. Yeah, my topic is very short. I'm sorry to have because I cannot project any pictures in the slide, but I try to convey my words. In mental kingdom, they should be collected very carefully from reliable sources. Reliable sources means have believable sources. What we namadagina reliable sources means they should be thoroughly tested if necessary in an analytical laboratory according to the rules of chemistry and mineralogy before they are used for homeopathic purposes. Means if you want any medicine, we have to test. They should not be maintained, not obtained in finely powdered form. What cystician in Otoria drugs, because every minerals obtained from the rock by crystallization. No mineral can obtain in directly in powder form. Next slide. Yeah, no source. They should be collected after proper diagnosis of diseases. Every drug we can use, we have to use on animals or what. We cannot direct and use on humans. If we do not diagnose on the animals, what in Jambi Reddy movie, we can face that problems. They should be obtained from standard serological laboratory who deal with the manufacture of cultures of the organism. Here, serological laboratory means blood testing agents. What we have, what antibodies in our blood, and what exposure of the viruses and bacteria. Here we have some rules to follow in collect the NASOS, Science Materia Medica of NASOS, the Materia Medica of NASOS by H.C. Allen, the North American Journal of Homeopathy Volume 2, Dictionary of Practical Material Medica by Carl. Here, H.C. Allen is better to read and his presentation is very good. Next. Hello. Hello. Sarcodes, the animals must be, if we study in the previous chapters, sarcodes means the fleshy. It can be taken from the part of the animals like sheep, goat. When we collect the sarcodes, we have to, the animals must be perfectly healthy. What we should take the animals that can be healthy before we take the medicines. The animals should be kept under observation and restricted food before the drugs substances are collected from them. The animals what we taken, we have to restricted food qualitative and quantitatively. The drugs are collected from them before we collected from them. The these organisms, yeah, serological means blood testing that what we have antibodies in our blood. The endocrine products and few enzymes may be collected from cattle, sheep, etc. from the slaughtered houses. The endocrine like adrenaline, like and few enzymes may be collected from these animals from the slaughtered houses. The slaughtered houses means in Master movie Last Fight, that is starter houses. So that's enough. Thank you.
Done?
Yeah, Anthony.
Yes, Chennaiya, good effort. But you should improvise, okay?
Yeah, this is my first seminar, ma'am.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. Have to take good effort. More room development.
Okay, ma'am.
మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఇప్పుడు ఎలా చేశారో చూస్తున్నావు కదా
Yeah, they are
లెవెల్ కి
very
నువ్వు
good.
ఇంప్రూవైజ్ అవ్వాలి ఆ లెవెల్ కి నువ్వు ఇంప్రూవైజ్ అవ్వాలి
Yes,
టేక్
ma'am.
డైరెక్షన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ యువర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఓకే
Okay.
Now, Lakshanika, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Give me a minute, ma'am. I'll present. Good morning, ma'am, and all my dear friends. Today's introduction about imponderabilia and the homeopathic drug. And homeopathic drugs are obtained from various sources like plants, animals, minerals, and chemical substances, and like nosotes, sarcodes, and different tautopathic drugs. And here, today's my topic is imponderabilia. Imponderabilia drugs, these are obtained from the energetic sources. Examples we can take as X-rays and electricity from sunlight and moonlight, and magnetic poles, ambo magnet, from different magnetic poles like south poles, north poles, etc. And these sources have no mass. Imponderabilia, this is also known as direct physical energy medicines. And imponderabilia, this word is extracted from imponderable, which is not weighable, and these substances have no perceptible weights. And in homeopathy, imponderabilia plays a major role. Imponderabilia medicines, these are termed as direct physical energy medicines because they directly utilize the energy available from natural and physical reactions. And then different forms of energy are potent sources of imponderabilia medicines, and they are electromagnetic, magnetic, nuclear, gravitational, electrical, thermal, electrostatic, and cosmic energy. From these energies, imponderabilia drugs are prepared, and presently available imponderabilia medicines belongs to some energies like magnetic energy and electrical, electromagnetic, nuclear, and some cosmic energies. And next, imponderabilia, these are immaterial dynamic energies which are utilized as potentized homeopathic medicines. There are two different sources like natural sources and artificial sources from where these medicines are prepared. First one is from natural sources. First one is magnetic polyarcticus. This energy from north pole of magnet, that is magnetic energy, and likewise magnetic poly australis, which is from south pole of magnet, and magnetic polyambo, which is from both poles of magnet. These three magnetic radiation energy. Electricity is from atmosphere, artificial electricity.
And this is magnet is polyambo from energy from both poles of the magnet, North Pole and South Pole. And this is Luna from light rays of full moon, eclipse occurs. And Sol from, this is sun rays, that is from sunlight. And then X-rays, from X-rays we get even that energy. Radium bromide, which is a radioactive element. And then electricities from thunders and all, we get some energy that is from artificial and atmospheric energy, that is electric current. And then different authors maintaining about imponderabilia. First one was Hahnemann. Hahnemann he said that even imponderable agencies can produce most violent medicines effects upon man. And then H.C. Allen, he describes their model of preparation and symptoms in Metria Medica of no sorts. And next, Elizabeth Wright mentions in her book about this imponderabilia. There is a brief course in homeopathy, the imponderabilia, which includes positive and negative magnetic forces, electricity and sun force, etc. P. Shankaran also mentions in his book about this elements of homeopathic pharmacy. And then Carl William Caspary, Gottlieb Heinrich George Hart, J.H. Jar, Clark Swan, etc. Even they have described their symptoms about imponderabilia in their own books. And then thank you.
Good. Lakshanika. Yes, is it correct?
Yes, Lakshanika.
Lakshanika. It's good.
Thank you.
The presentation which you have.
Ma'am, do we have any marks for the seminar?
Yeah, sure. You are having marks. For each and everything, for the seminars, for tests, even if we ask the questions in the class, everything will be noted as it is online. So we are going to assess your talent on this one. Okay? How you are going with this?
Yes, ma'am.
I will be telling the marks and even this is recorded. No? The session is recorded, so chances will go through this and he will do the marks. Okay. So that's it. So we'll end the class then.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what about the next class,
Bye,
ma'am?
everyone.
Are we going to have next class, ma'am?
Next class ante ippudu
Pharmacy, ma'am.
11:40 with pharmacy.
Yes, ma'am.
It's done.
So it's done. Hello? Okay, ma'am.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.